Exactly what gets us in trouble.
It's amazing we're still here at all.
And you're live.
Hey, everybody on Facebook. Thanks for joining in. We drug Matt in here because he's got nothing else going today to talk about the heat and what's going on outside. People are concerned because we're not used to this kind of heat.
No, it's been a while. You know, 2009 was the last time we had 2 days in a row, or 3 days in a row, where we hit triple digits. And in that heat wave, we hit 90 10 days in a row. And hopefully we won't rival that this time, but those 90-degree days are beginning to add up. So we could get close to that. Now, a couple of records have fallen already today. McMinnville, and these are not going to be the final high temperatures.
Right, we're not to the hottest point of the day quite yet.
Not yet. Another hour or two, but McMinnville has already hit 104, breaking the old record of 102. And the records, what's interesting to me about the records is not the value of the old record, but the year that it was set.
Oh, okay.
Because we're breaking records that were set in the 30s. So these are long-standing records that are falling by the wayside. That McMinnville record of 102 was set in 1931. So we just broke that today because McMinnville's hit 104. Hillsborough's hit 102, breaking its 1939 record of 99 degrees, and Astoria in the 90s. Can we show Astoria, Jeff? Astoria hit 93, and its old record was 88, and that was back in 1939. So those are long-standing records, you know, meaning it hasn't been this hot on this particular day anywhere in Northwest Oregon for, 70, 80 years.
So what does that mean historically? Can you break down each year for us?
Well,
No,
but,
but
if we go through the Dust Bowl era and into World War II.
That's exactly what I was hoping for. No, but what does it mean? I mean, we had such a brutal winter, and now we're having such a hot summer. Does that mean anything, really?
Yeah, I've gotten that question before, and it really doesn't. There is a lot of natural variability in weather and in the atmosphere, and the pattern typically will undergo an adjustment, a major adjustment in the springtime. It happened a little late this year because we had such a wet spring, but it has adjusted and gone into a more summertime mode. And the correlation between the summertime pattern and the wintertime pattern, those are really weak. And part of the reason for that is the steering currents in the summertime are really weak. The forcing mechanisms are really weak. So it's really hard to make correlations between what's happening now and what happened, on January 10th when we had 18 inches of snow in Portland.
Okay, so not necessarily connected. But we hear so much about climate change and global warming, and yet this happened 80 years ago, too.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about climate change and global warming. It doesn't mean that natural variability is over. I mean, as we saw, we had a cold, snowy winter.
Right.
That doesn't mean that climate change isn't happening. And just the fact that we're having a big heat wave right now doesn't mean that, this is the beginning of, we've crossed a door into a permanently hot situation.
Well, I do think that's what people wonder, though.
Absolutely. It's a valid question, but that's the point I'm trying to make, is there's still a lot of natural variability in the atmosphere and in the system, and we'll still have winter. So even with a warming climate, we may see these extremes more often. That's what most climatologists believe will happen, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to have cooler periods as well. And the other thing about it is you can't cherry pick one location or even one region and say this is proof of climate change or this is proof that climate change is not happening, because we're talking globally when we talk climate change. And then how that breaks down regionally is a different matter.
Okay. If you have questions at home, you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and send them in, and we'll try to get to some of those as well. In the meantime, it's so hazy outside. What's going on with that?
BC, wildfire.
That's actually what a lot of people are already asking.
Want to know what
Absolutely.
Nice work.
So last night at 11 o'clock, I showed satellite imagery from the new weather satellite. Remember, I went to the launch back in November?
I do, and now we have it.
It's
still exciting.
It is exciting. It's still preliminary data, but it's really great. And so you could see the smoke moving down from British Columbia. Big, big fires there. They've been burning for several weeks. But also that whitewater fire down near Mount Jefferson. So 2 days ago, I did a time-lapse, and you could see all the smoke getting pushed over into central and eastern Oregon. Last night's time-lapse, same fire, you could see the easterly winds working that smoke into the Willamette Valley. Then other steering currents, other winds will move it north. So I think we're getting some smoke from the Whitewater Fire down near Mount Jefferson, and then also smoke from the BC fires.
Oh, we're just lucky.
We're just getting, it's just smoke, smoke, smoke.
Woo! Boy, we get them all.
We get it all.
That's great.
That's why it's so hazy. And I had a question put to me, and I had been thinking about this on my way in. Will that impact our high temperature? In other words, will the smoke help to keep our high temperature? And that's possible. If you have enough smoke, it will limit the amount of solar heating that you get. I'm not sure that it's thick enough and the particles are big enough in the smoke that we're getting right now to have an impact on our high temperatures. But that does happen sometimes.
Okay. One thing I was wondering, too, is that, you know, during when it gets this hot, we always go endlessly warning people about the heat and be careful and this and that.
Right.
But is that just because we're not used to it? Because some places have this kind of heat all the time.
So a good answer to that question is the thresholds that exist for various watches and warnings in different parts of the country. And even regionally, you know, an excessive heat warning will be issued here on what would be a normal day in Phoenix.
75.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's too hot. And
my gosh.
Feel that way. It's like, what? It's 80? Turn it down. I've got one co-employee here who just, if it's not raining, she's not happy.
Yeah,
so,
right.
you know, we know you're out there, and that's good. No judgment.
You know, I took my girls to Hawaii one time, and they're like, oh, it's so bright here. And I'm like,
so bright. Oh, what does that tell you?
I know.
We need to get out more often.
Oregonians. That's what that tells me.
So, yeah, the thresholds are different. Like, even to use snowstorms as an example, we'll get a winter weather advisory for snow in the valley. I think the threshold is 4 inches, 2 to 4 inches. Well, that won't trigger it in the gorge or the Cascades because obviously they get that all the time, especially in the Cascades. So you need like 6 to 10 inches to trigger that advisory in the Cascades. So the same thing with heat, to your point. So we are, we're not that used to it. We usually only get one 100-degree day a year in Portland. So this extended period of heat will definitely stress systems, people, plants, pets, everything will be stressed because of this long-running, warm, hot weather that we have.
And how long do you think that stretch is going to be?
Well, it's going to peak today and tomorrow, and then it'll go down a couple notches. We'll still be in the upper 90s or about 100 on Friday.
Which still feels hot.
Although, I got to say, and tell me if you notice.
Oh, is it a dry heat? Is that what you're going to say? Because I'm not buying it. Not for 1 second.
What? I think once it's over 95, it's high. But that's a very subjective thing.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, like yesterday we topped out at 97, and, you know, it was hot, but it wasn't unbearably hot.
No, it wasn't.
Today is a lot hotter. I mean, I think that difference between 97 and 104, that's a big, 7 degrees, but it's a big difference sensibly as to how you feel about the weather that's out there. So, you know, today and tomorrow are the worst. It goes down a little bit Friday, goes down more over the weekend, but still in the 90s, and we may see a little ramp up, say, Sunday, Monday, back to the mid-90s or so. So we're going to be in hot weather like this for, when it's all said and done, we'll probably end up with a week of 90 or better, maybe 8 or 9 days.
Yeah. Okay, question.
Yeah, several people are asking, including Zola and Cecilia. They say it's been 47 days without rain. I don't know if that's
that is correct.
So,
they've been paying attention to your
Good job, Zola.
That was Cecilia.
Good job, Cecilia.
Zola is also asking, though, how long is that going to continue, and how is that affecting this heat wave that it's been dry for so long?
Yeah, I don't think there's much of an effect on the heat wave itself. That's due to atmospheric conditions. But we're at day 47, which, by the way, ties for the top 10, the 10th longest dry streak.
Yay, we're the top 10.
We're in the top 10.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
We did it.
So day 47, I bet we go another week. That'd be another 7 days, say 54 days. We'll get up to 55 days. That would be tie for the third longest stretch without measurable rain. And I think we'll do that. I don't see any rain coming in the next week and probably a little bit longer. I had seen some indications towards the end of next week, so about a week or so, about 9-10 days from now,
maybe
that we could see some rain. But you know, the computer guidance that far out, it tends to go all over the place. One day it's going to be rain, the next day it's going to be 90. So I don't put too much stock in it, but there are some indications that we might get some rain, say in about 9 days, 10 days from now, maybe.
But the point being, since we had so much snow and so much rain, it's not a drought situation.
No, we're not in a drought. Okay. I mean, even in California, amazingly, what this winter did, I mean, they have reservoirs down there that hadn't been full for 10, 11 years, and they were this winter. So this winter was so good for our water supply situation, and one heat wave doesn't destroy that or take that away. One heat wave doesn't mean that we're in a drought. Drought is a long-running event, and it takes a long time typically. And there are different definitions of drought. There's no one definition. It really depends on the user. You know, what is a drought to a wheat farmer versus an apple farmer versus, you know, a recreationalist. So, so no, we're not going to go back into drought just because we're having a heat wave. We'll be fine with our water supply at least through the rest of the summer and into fall.
Now, do you guys look out long term? I mean, do you see the rest of the summer as being pretty hot, or is that just crazy talk?
Some people do look at that, but again, it's the summer long-term forecasting is more difficult because the patterns are weaker, and so it's harder to hang your hat on any one thing. I don't see this heat wave as an indication that the rest of the summer is going to be brutally hot. I mean, think about our summer before this week. It was pretty great.
Right.
I mean, we did hit 101 back on June 25th. We had a couple 90-degree days, but really up until this week, we've been running below average with the 90s. So this heat wave will go. It's certainly here. It's going to last a while, but it will move on, and we'll get back to some more, lovely, reasonable, comfortable temperatures as we go through August.
So, one more. Go ahead.
Well, for people just joining us, it looks like a lot of people are just joining us, and they're asking again about the smoke. Can you speak again to the smoke and how long it may stick around?
Yeah, so the smoke, we touched on this earlier. The reason it's so hazy out there, we have wildfires, I don't know what the acreage is, but I would guess it's somewhere around 100,000 acres or so up in British Columbia. That smoke has been caught up in the northerly winds and been transported here. That happened last night. You could see it right around sunset. Suddenly it was hazy. So we have smoke from British Columbia wildfires. We're also getting smoke. It's a much smaller fire, but it's much closer. The Whitewater fire down near Mount Jefferson. That smoke, as of last night, got pushed westward into the Willamette Valley and is now getting mixed northward and spreading out throughout the valley. So fires from the north, fire from the south. That's why we're getting the smoke. When will that go away? What we need is to get wind coming from a direction where there are no fires.
Good luck this time of year, right?
That's right. But, that actually can happen. If we get a good westerly flow or even a northwesterly flow, we should be able to clear the sky out. But I would plan on it being hazy like this for several days.
It's too bad because, sometimes we forget we have mountains out there, and then when they come out in all their glory, and then it's like, no haze.
Don't go away.
Don't go away now. Yeah. We love seeing you. So how spread out is this heat wave? We tend to just focus right here on our area, but is it the whole West Coast? Or
it's certainly the entire Northwest is seeing this heat wave. Now, down in California, if you're near the coast, they've got the marine layer, and they're seeing cooler temperatures. It's been a very hot summer, even by their standards in the desert Southwest. Several weeks ago, remember, they couldn't fly planes out of Phoenix because it was like 120.
Right.
And so you run into altitude density. Yeah, I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah.
So it's been a hot summer in the Southwest, and that's migrated and expanded our way. So in the West right now, in general, we're dealing with this heat wave, the coastal areas, for the most part being the exception. But Astoria hit 93 today, and I know it's hot in Tillamook, and the Oregon coast will begin to cool off probably tomorrow evening and certainly on Friday.
Well, sometimes the coast socks in, though, when it's really hot in town.
Yeah.
Not? Yes?
Not yet, but it will. We'll get the fog and low clouds building north up the coast beginning tomorrow night and then into Friday as we get that surge of marine air building its way north. It'll follow the area of hottest air, basically, and as that slowly, painfully moves over the Cascades and then east of the Cascades, that'll allow the cooler ocean air to move up the coast. And all we need is a little seepage of that into the Willamette Valley to cool us off a bit. And I've seen our heat waves like this end very abruptly, and quicker than forecast sometimes, because we'll get a little surge of marine air coming into the valley, and suddenly it's like, hey, it's not so bad out, and we're only hitting 90 or 85. So that can happen. I hope it does happen this time, but right now it looks like it's going to stay up around 100 through Friday and even in the low 90s over the weekend.
That's a lot. Yeah, it's funny when you're on the coast. Haven't you ever gone down there and then you just drive inland like 1 mile, and it's crystal clear?
Yeah, and it's baking as well, but right at the beach. And I've even been on the beach where you feel the wind shift, and it goes from being like, oh, this is amazing, it's the Oregon coast, and it's 85, and then boom, the wind shifts, and suddenly it's like 55. And it's like, okay, back at the coast once again. So that's kind of the norm for the heat waves at the coast. They generally don't last as long as you would expect.
Yeah, it's so great we have all those sky cams now, because now you know what to expect.
It helps
when
a lot.
you head into there. Yeah, and we always say it's like 10 degrees cooler up in Seattle. True?
In general, yeah, that's about right. They are surrounded by a lot more water, a lot more cold water, Puget Sound, so that helps them a lot. The patterns are slightly different up there, and being farther north, they generally don't get as hot as we do, but they're experiencing this heat wave as well. So, and people from Seattle like to complain a lot anyway. No, I'm just kidding. Not really, but
we love you from a distance.
We love you. But I'm sure they're dealing with the heat the exact same way we are. I mean, it's not the norm. It doesn't happen very often, and we're like, what the heck, man? What's going on?
So will it cool off at night? Because that's what we're known for, these wonderful summer days when it really cools off at night.
So that's where the dry heat comes into play.
Okay.
So the fact that the humidity is low will allow the temperature to drop lower at night than it would if you were in, say, New Orleans or Miami or New York or D.C.
Which is a sauna.
It's a sauna. And the more moisture there is in the air, that reduces how low the temperature can drop. It can't drop as low when you have a lot of humidity.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so because of the fact that we have dry air, that does allow us to cool off more overnight tonight. But even with that going on, we're going to be experiencing very warm nights for the next couple nights. Now, we only dropped to 65 last night.
Which is so good, though, really. 65 is pretty good.
It's not bad, but if you start staying above 65, then it's like, for a lot of people, homes don't have air conditioning or you don't have good ventilation. It's tough to cool the house down if it's not dropping out of the 70s. And tonight to tomorrow morning, we probably won't drop out of the 70s. Portland's all-time warmest overnight low temperature, if that makes sense, is 74. So that's the hottest night we've ever had, where it only dropped to 74. And we're going to be close to that the next couple nights.
We are spoiled, though.
Oh, we are. We have such a great climate here.
It's the sweet spot.
It is. And the summers are amazing. And this summer has been so nice. I mean, so many great, great days. So we really are spoiled with our summer weather. Of course, we pay for it October through March. But, you know, this time of year, it's really good, even when it's super hot out. So we'll get through this. We'll be good.
Yeah, we'll be good. I know you have to go get ready for the newscast, so we're going to close it out. So do be careful. We had a doctor on Portland today talking about signs of heat stroke, disorientation, rapid heartbeat. Take it seriously.
It's true.
Hydrate. We are not used to it. We are wimpy in this weather. So.
And you know what else? If you're a workout junkie, you know, just back off a notch on the outdoor workouts. If you're gonna run or if you're gonna cycle, try to do it in the morning when it's cooler, because it really will have an impact. So give yourself a break on the workouts too.
Oh, okay. Like I needed that encouragement. All right. Thank you, Matt.
Tracy.
Thanks for watching.